Arganissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Hey everyone, it's John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur, and I'm with might be muted. Hey everyone, I'm John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur, and I'm with
Hurricane Age, the one and the only.
Hey, and together we make up the fantastic flying duo of Double Impact, baby. Hey, it's great to be here. Happy New Year, HH. Happy, healthy, abundant, prosperous, amazing New Year to you and everyone watching now, or if you're watching later, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and it's Happy New Year every day until the next New Year, and every day is a new year, right? So
every year's a new year, but this is a very special time. You might say, that we get a day every day, and we always can start a new day. But the truth of the matter is, we're human beings and we're creatures of habit. And so we can't just hit that reset button on our head. Well, there are ways to do that. But for most people, they can't hit that reset button every single day. But they get to hit it once a year. And there's a lot of things that can reset. Now, certain things can't reset in your life. We won't get into that now, but there are a lot of things you can reset. You can reset a relationship. And what I always tell people is if you want to reset something, come up with the Columbo humble pie approach. Hey, honey, hi, love, or friend, or whatever. Listen, I screwed up. And I don't know what was going through me. It was just the year was crazy. And I don't even know how to say I'm sorry, but I really am. And can we just start off with a fresh slate? Because I really have got my mind focused now and I want to commit to you or whatever it is. And the person's going to come back, the lady or gentleman, and say to you, you know what? I was an idiot too. No. And can we start? Yeah, why don't we both start over? Let's start with a slate. In fact, what a lot of people I tell to do is get a fresh slate. Or if you have like a whiteboard and have a whole bunch of crap on it, and just erase that whiteboard. I did this for an elected official one time, and it was in the middle of the year. I think it was November a few years ago. And I said to him, I want to apologize to you. Now, I didn't really do anything wrong. I was just a little zealous, and you guys know I can be zealous. And so when I was a little zealous, I guess it kind of rubbed them the wrong way. I wasn't doing anything wrong, but it kind of was a little bit too much for them. And so I wanted to apologize. John, you don't have to apologize for anything. But I said, what I like to do? I'd like to just start fresh. I have a board here. Just going to erase it and ask you if we could start with a fresh slate. And he was like, you don't have to apologize to me. Well, what do I have to apologize to? You don't have to apologize to anybody. Oh, okay. Well, can we just start over? Yeah, sure. And they were very humbled by that. So 2023 or any new year is a great time to start over. I mean, completely start over from scratch. It's the time when we can set goals, right? Now, a lot of you have desires, right? How many of you out there know the difference between a desire and a goal? Does anybody know that's watching tonight? Let's just do a desire and a goal.
Well, we do want people to actually chat with us and send us their New York resolution,
yes, absolutely.
And comment or ask questions. But you're right. Today is about goal setting, and I just wanted to add to something you mentioned, John, and that is, again, it is a new year, and yes, we switched 2023. we're getting there, and we got to get adjusted to it, because I think for a minute everybody makes a mistake and still uses 2022 there. But I know when you write checks, you do that. But the fact of the matter is, every day in our lives, technically we have a new leaf, a new chance, right? A new chapter that we can write, a new page. And this is just a better, setting because it's a mindset, right? Everybody around the world is looking forward to the end of the year and the new year, considering that we've had rough years back, to back and, just, back.
We've had challenges, and we
Yep.
had, not to go back in COVID, but we had some challenges. So things are getting better. And
Hopefully.
the world, quote unquote, the world is looking for a better. And we're all saying that this is going to be a great year. I mean, when somebody said to me, what was the flavor of 2022? I said, what do you mean? And he told me it was some like terrible putrid color. He said, that's what my 2022 was like. I said, my 2023 is going to be amazing. It'll be rainbows. And I said, well, that's great. So I think it all comes down to one thing, though, HH. It comes down to a mindset. It comes down to a belief. So if you're saying to me, hey, John, I can't do this. This works for HH. This works for you. You guys are entrepreneurs. You do this. You're serial entrepreneurs. You have businesses. I mean, you guys do this for a living. Yeah, but we're people just like you are. I always tell people, we put our shirts on, just the same way, or put them over, or take our pants off like left leg, then right leg, or right leg, left leg. So we do it the same way you do, right? And so we're human, just like you guys are. And, what I want to share with you is that when you tell me, hey, John, this isn't going to work for us. Why not? Well, you don't understand my wife or my this or my partner or my job, or it's stressful, or you don't know what I'm involved with, or my kid, or you don't know what I have to deal with at work, or you don't know what I have to deal with the government, or you don't know what I have to deal with my relatives or my aunt or my uncle or my parents, or you don't know what I have to deal with because my life is just hard. And I pause in a second and I say, what do you mean? Well, it just doesn't work for me, and it will never work for me. And I say, you know what? I said, it's never going to work for you because you've already stated that it's not going to work. No, John, you see, you're using mind. No, I'm not using mind anything. I'm being truthful. You've just told me you're making all these excuses. So in 2023, why don't you stop making excuses and actually start working on, I like to say the challenge, not the problem, but the challenge. And in 2023, I invite everyone to rise to the challenge. People all want to sit here, whether it's on the couch or whether we're in the studio, they all want to sit and they want to be comfortable, HH, right? They want to be comfortable in life. They want to have their pina colada, their drink, their whatever. And they want to be comfortable.
We all want to do that.
Right? They want to be comfortable. But you know what our world doesn't like? Our world doesn't like being uncomfortable. And one thing you guys don't realize, a lot of you watching this, is that in order to become successful, guess what? Here's a secret. You've got to become uncomfortable. You're never going to be successful if you're not uncomfortable.
And it is part of the challenge of life, right? And I think that's the thing. We get so comfortable in a routine, and changing that routine, like really readdressing, rechanging, reshifting everything is kind of like annoying, right? It's like, oh my God, I gotta do all this work now. And, we get to that, like just, I'm monotonous, I'm good. I know I wake up, I know what I'm going to do. The day goes by. But then again, it just becomes nothing. And the results are the same because you're not moving, you're not challenging yourselves. And I think that's the biggest part of, the problem with a lot of folks is that, all of us can make that mistake of getting just kind of like, okay, we're settling, right? And yet we still want to do more, but then we're not willing to make that shift. And I think that's the dynamic that we all are seeking right now. And we hope that we can make that shift and changing from comfort.
I think what happens, HH, is, like I said, people want to be comfortable. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, so people don't want to make that shift. I use an example. If your heat hasn't come up yet at home and you're in the shower and it got really cold, well, you're uncomfortable getting out of the shower. So, you put the towel over, but you're a little uncomfortable, but you do it anyway. You got to get out, you get ready, right? And you get over it. And you try not to have that happen, but you get cold days some days where all the heat didn't come up. So how do you get over this? People say, well, John, I'm not ready to dive in head first. I'm not asking you. HH isn't asking you to dive head first. What we're asking you to do is to push the envelope a little further. What do you mean? I just mean to make yourself a little uncomfortable. I'm not telling you to sweat. I'm not telling you to be exhausted. I'm telling you to be a little uncomfortable. Because when you become a little uncomfortable, your brain starts to work. It starts to form the neural pathways from the left and right sides of your brain, and not just one, but several of them. And the more that we form, history has taught us and science has shown us that by those formings, we're going to learn. So when we're uncomfortable, we break a pattern of being comfortable, but we now learn a new way to do something. So my hack for you, if you're saying, oh, John, I can't do this. I wanted you guys to do it January 1st, but we're on today. I want you to think of one new thing that you could do every day. Now, I added a new exercise routine. It's a very simple exercise routine. I think I touched my feet 16 times instead of something else. So that might seem like nothing, okay? And I have some other routines. They don't take very long, but it's something I do every day. Another thing you could do, if depending on if you're religious or not, or just being grateful. You might say, John, I'm too busy to be grateful. I'm trying to make $1 million. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And you're telling me you can't give thanks for 30 seconds or a minute before you eat a meal or before you get something? So how about making that one of your New Year's resolutions? See, you don't have to have a huge thing where I've got to be like with a new relationship. I'll get into that in a second, but you want to start small, okay? And so if you've never swam a lap in the pool before, well, I'm not going to throw you in head first. I'm going to work with you in the shallow end and get you to not sleeping, blow bubbles. And then the other way. And then we add the stroke. So I know it's a little funny, but I think people, they want to have their hand hold it. And I get that. But if we could just get a little uncomfortable, okay, I'm not saying that this should be the national crisis here. And then as you realize that you can be a little uncomfortable, you can get a little more uncomfortable. And so the reason that we fight this in our brain is because of our RAS, lots of acronyms, reticular activating system. Our RAS was installed in us at birth, but it wasn't designed to make us successful. I might have mentioned this before. Our RAS is designed to keep us alive, our fight or flight mechanism. So our RAS is, hey, John, whoa, you can't do that. What do you mean? I don't want you to get hurt. So if you push yourself a little bit and you get uncomfortable and you're okay, the RAS will be like, huh, you know what? I guess we could do that next time. Like it wasn't bad. I guess we could do that. But now we're getting close to you. Like, whoa, I don't forget. But then you push yourself like, you know what? Yeah, maybe we can go further. So I think it's knowing how to move your boundaries or your limits so that you can get out. An example I use is this. If you have a fish and the fish is one size, right? You take that fish and it's in a fish bowl. If you lead the fish in the fish bowl, what's going to happen? The fish is going to stay the same size. You take the fish out of the fish bowl, you put it into a big aquarium, what's going to happen? The fish is going to grow. We do that with our minds. We do that with our life every day.
So, John, I'm listening to you, and I think there is one step that we all have to maybe be aware of, because I think I love what you're saying about these changes, and one added value every day or something that we change will be the next step and the next stage and get us, a little better, right? But one thing that we all have, and we can all agree on, whether we're watching right now, listening, or later, is that we all have something in our life today, or at least yesterday was, and it's either we're comfortable with it, and we talked about comfort, or even if we're comfortable, we only do it because of habit, because we have no choice. And the first thing I think we have to agree on is that we do have a choice, but the choice can be difficult. Sometimes we have to stop certain things, period. Sometimes we have to decide that, this life that I'm having may be difficult, maybe I'm challenged, maybe I'm stressed out and everything, but I got to take a stand today and make that change. And that shift is vital. Many people sometimes will leap forward and just take a leap of faith and just make it happen regardless of the outcome. We don't want you to do that. Just throw yourself, and figure it out. But at the same time, you do that smartly, and you have to, understand, you put a system in place and you put a plan and whatever, you set goals, and we'll talk more about that. But really, I think, for example, the first thing is, if you're not happy about something, about you or about your life, your finances, your work, whatever, don't get stuck with things that are making you unhappy. I think that's the first rule. I think we all owe it to ourselves and to our families, because if we're not happy, we're not helping anybody. I mean, right now, if I'm not happy, what's the point, right? I want to
Absolutely.
be enjoying my life. You want to be enjoying your life, and to enjoy your life, you need to remove some of the stuff that's really keeping you whatever you are and not happy. And when you're not happy, you're stressed, you're anxiety, you got depression, and you're not going to be really productive regardless. And chances are that you're going to think about maybe improving your lifestyle, and improving your life may not be your priority because you're really just so bummed out. We want to get rid of the bumming, piece of it. You got to get rid of that whole concept where, I'm not in a good place. We need you to be in a good place. Now, again, this is a show. We're talking about this, but hopefully we get a little spark somewhere where we can get some people, excited about this change. And really,
I don't
yes,
have any matches. No matches here. Sorry.
no matches. Okay. But you know what I'm talking about. The idea is that, you got to commit to you. And that's the part. I mean, number one, we all have a number one that starts with you or your immediate family, and then you move from there. But John does John, I do me, and so on and so forth. But then we do it for the purpose of maybe enjoying. I mean, we do this. This is our first show for the year. We could have not done this today. I mean, John is actually away, but yet we made it because we wanted to keep, the tradition, and we still have the show going. My wife and I yesterday, she did her first show for the fitness, brand.
Congratulations. Very nice. Very nice.
And we had to do it, the first day. We're not sleeping. We got to do it. And so the idea is not so much because we're just special, but we take that step to make a difference because we want to make sure that even for ourselves, if we start really lazy, that kind of just gets worse.
That's the problem. You're saying something very interesting, and this is something I tell people, is that if you're not happy, the number one reason you're not happy is because you're not living your life. You're living someone else's life. So if you're taking all their requests, okay, and you're like, oh, my life is always this, my life's always that. So you made the choice to do that. One of my goals I put down all the time on my 400, 500 goal list is from the most important, like the ones immediate all the way down. I wrote like 400 goals out there on my computer. And I do that on the 30th or 31st of December every year. If you're living someone else's life, you're never going to be happy. And so what I say is that if there are people in my life that do not want to be in a positive mentality, or people that are going to tell me that I am not what I believe, don't be nasty to them. I can say one good word to them. You know what that word is? Goodbye.
Sayonara.
Goodbye. And we said this on the show. So using the word goodbye is not nasty. I had a lady the other day, and I put them in their place in a nice way. They were going to be building some houses or something, and they were going to be taking a building down that was IBM's for many years, and they were going to be working. And I said, well, no one's going to do anything anyway. I said, the people here are just stuck up. They'll stay in their mansions, and they're never going to do anything. And so no one ever does anything here until it's actually too late. So, John, that's a snarky remark. I said, yeah, but I'll just make a name up. Glenda, if that's not her name. It's true. I'm not being nasty. I'm stating the truth, what I've been witnessing for years. Mm-hmm. She went away for a day. She came back, and then she agreed with my post. So I think some people, when you put something in front of them, so how do you live your life and not live someone else's? So first of all, is if you're doing everything for someone else, you're probably not living your life. Are the things you do making you feel good in life? I'm not saying don't do things to make other people feel good, but I'm saying that the predominant things you do should be for you. That's very key. Because if you can't lift yourself up, how are you ever going to lift someone else up? That goes back to my philosophy. If you can't like yourself, no one will like you. If you can't love yourself, no one will love you. So you want to live your own life. That's hard for some people.
Well, John, thank you for that. I mean, self-care, self-talk, it starts with you. Again, you're not good to anybody if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not in a good place. Because, again, it starts with you, right? We always get the analogy on the plane. You got to put the mask first before you put it on somebody else, and so on and so forth. But that's the concept. If you are suffocated, if your life is really getting to a point where you're not happy, you're just going to affect yourself. And here comes another year, and you're going to go day in, day out miserably into it, and you're not happy. You're probably going to clash more with people, and you just gonna continue to suffer. Why? You owe it to yourself. We owe it to ourselves to change the dynamic, and we all have that control. We are on the helm. We are in control. We actually, you are the pilot, and
Hmm.
you can do whatever you want. Yes, I mean, we can talk finances, we can talk, obligations, we can talk stuff.
Hmm.
But here's the thing: you got to look at it this way. What's the worst that's going to happen? And when you actually put that on the table, that's the big elephant in the room, as we say, right? Well, you can remove that. Worst case, you might start over. Worst case, sometimes we have to start over, to get set. I mean, we reset ourselves. you know um Looking at the space program, and we're not going to go there, but it's funny because there's a whole thing about that, right? And it took years after the first incident when they were doing the Apollo stuff, and they had to reset, and it took, I think, 12 years plus to actually get another shuttle out there, or another launch. But doesn't matter. It's, you got to reset, you got to work. But if you don't stop and be aware of things and make that mindset shift already. So that's the first thing. It has to change here. The rest start, and then start putting the steps. What do I do? John, you said something powerful. You add one thing, gratitude. You want to be thankful. You want to do your prayers. That's great. You want to add something to your health. You want to be healthy. That's the other thing. Health is wealth, right? You're not healthy,
Yep.
you're not going to
Yep.
perform. Whether it's at work, working for somebody, or even, let's say, maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, right? You want to set up
Hmm.
yourself for stuff. Now, do you have money? One question. Most of us may not have the capital to get started. Okay, so how do I get there, right? Do I have an idea that's going to make me money? And how do I get there? Maybe I still have to work, and then start making transitions. But if you're not making these discussions with yourself, or whoever your significant other, or your people that are surrounding you, your family members, you know, you need that discussion so you can start making the shift and then planning correctly. And yet, you have a short-term goal, a long-term goal, and you got to plan for these things. But you have to put them on paper. You have to start discussing them, because if they're not, they're just abstract ideas somewhere in there, but they're not, coming up. You're not acting on them. Action, right? So you can dream. I mean, I just said the other day, and I mean, I did a whole thank you about, for everyone in my life, and for a
Hmm.
beautiful and great 2022. But you know what, folks, you dream large, dream big, scare yourself. I always say that. But you know what? You dream and you put it to play. Whatever, I have my targets for this year. I have plenty of things that I want to do this year. And I look back every year, it just gets better. There are things in my life that maybe I don't like and I have to shift. And sometimes you make some tough decisions.
Some
And
pivots. Some pivots. Yep.
exactly. And by the way, some decisions you make, we live by them. And for what it's worth, at the time you make those decisions, you are comfortable with those decisions. And you know what? You take them. You take the shot. Sometimes it works,
And
sometimes it doesn't.
energy goes flows where thoughts go. And so
Powerful stuff.
you really create something really powerful. Is that if I asked you right now to visualize a dog, you all could visualize a dog, right? Four legs, maybe an orange, right? Or maybe if I asked you to visualize your house, you probably could visualize that, no problem. But what if I asked you to visualize a dog with three legs? Or I asked you to visualize your bank account with $1 million. Now, you can't do that because history has taught us you can't visualize something you've never seen before. You have to imagine. And so when you use imagination, it's when we start to create, and this gets deep, we start to create frequencies in our brain. And it's at the subjective level, which is when we're under, basically what I call it level. We are sending out, we are affecting through, let's say, the EMF, electromagnetic forces. We are affecting our environment. I don't know if you know this, but we affect somebody 25 feet in front of us. But you can actually affect people a lot further than that when you go to level. That's a whole other process. But my point is that if you learn how to visualize, if you learn how to visualize, then the most important thing you're going to learn is that you're going to see what you have. If you learn how to imagine, then you're going to be able to create some real changes in your life.
Well, John.
And that's what we want to do. We want to create changes in our life, right?
Well, you mentioned keyword, change. That's a scary word for most people, right? Like, oh my God, again, you talked about it. It's a shift, it's a change, like the unknown. What would happen if, and we start thinking about everything that potentially can go wrong as opposed to everything that can go right. Understanding that things will go wrong in a way, but you have to be prepared for those things. And you know what, that shouldn't be the stop, or the reasons why you can't pursue things, right? You would expect some of it, you want to try to eliminate and maybe plan, ahead, so you can have less of those. But if the minute you start thinking every single scenario is going to happen, and I'm going to struggle, and maybe I'm just good where I am today, well, that's what you're going to be. You're going to be today, and that's not going to shift. Time is going to fly. I mean, again, 2023 is here. It's, you look back, a year is gone. Today is already the second, right? Is it the second? Yeah, it is second.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're already like in the first week of the month. Before you know it, it's February, and then now boom, 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 the year is going, right? So it's going to happen so fast. But what are we doing to make those changes? What are we doing of accepting that and really triggering the change? And there's nobody can do that for you. You have to do it. We all have to make
That's
those
exactly
decisions.
right. You have to make these decisions, and you have to decide right now to become uncomfortable. I always say that if you fail to plan, okay, I don't mean you have to
Fail.
have everything orchestrated. You've planned to fail. Now you don't have to tell me how you're going to build the stadium that you're planning to build, but you need to have it down, and you should have some concept about it, that you want that, or you want this car, or whatever it is. And so the more you can imagine, what I like to call playfully visualize, but it's really imagining, when you go to sleep, just before you go to sleep, and you fall asleep with that image inside your head, you start to get connected with higher intelligence. Higher intelligence is something that less than 2% of our population ever connects with. Now, I'm not talking about being smart. I'm talking about accessing the genius potential that all of us in this world have access to, but don't really want to even acknowledge it even exists.
Well, John, it's funny you say that, and I'm thinking about like one of the examples that we can give people here that you and I we talked about this. We want to take
Yeah.
this show on the road. We want to literally take this show on
Yeah.
the road physically, not just being on right now a remote stuff. We'll be physically at locations, and we will take it on the road. So the question is,
Yeah.
how, when, whatever. So those things we know we're gonna have to figure out, but we know what our target together is. We want to be able to be in your venue and bring this flavor to you, and bring this discussion, and maybe get interactive with you, and really maybe share with you some of our experiences. I mean, we all have been through a lot in our professional, personal life, and there's some things that we can share that may be of value. I have few things that I think can bring positivity. John has some, and if not, we'll learn from you. That's the other part, right? We can learn from
Yep.
everyone, and that's the other part.
Absolutely.
It's an exchange of there, and maybe one idea from me, one idea from John, one idea from whoever is watching and listening right now, combined, and you have a super idea. You have something that be like, oh, wow, it's a change in, it's a game changer, right? But those things
Right.
happen if we get engaged. You're talking about a higher, level of tapping into your brain and to your
Hmm.
capabilities. We all have equal stuff. I mean, regardless, I mean, some people may agree or disagree because they say, well, my circumstances, I didn't go to school, I didn't do
Exactly.
this. Those could be validated reasons, but not really valid reasons, because we have also examples of people that have none of that and they still made it big. And some people say, well, the circumstances. Well, the circumstances, some of them come your way and we take advantage of them. Some of them you set yourself to. And that's the other thing. You make the shift. You don't have to subject yourself or always agree or always settle for things just because they are. We can challenge ourselves. I mean, John, I think I love what you've done with yourself over the last couple of years. You've transformed your body, right? You lost the weight
Yes.
that you had, and you did that because you wanted to. You committed to it. You've used the system to help
No
you
one told me to do
maintain.
that.
Right, it was you, but you did it. But not only you did it, you also made a full system to monitor how you do it. You got your,
Absolutely.
your machine going.
This
You,
holiday has gone through, and I'm still on my track. I haven't gotten to 165, but I'm still at 177, 176.
well, but that's an achievement, right? You're maintaining is harder than actually starting. I mean, you started, you did, but maintaining is the hardest part, right?
The
For a
last
lot
10
of
is not going to be easy. Getting rid of those last is not going to be easy. I know that, but
Wha-
we're still on a
let's
track
but
for that.
but but nothing is easy in life, right? That's
Right.
the thing. You have to know that. we need to be comfortable with it's not always going to be comfortable, and we just have to be, roll up, the sleeves and just roll with emotions, right? Make it happen. But here's the other thing. Today is January 2nd. A lot of people have made the commitment to change the look, whatever that being. Some people are comfortable who they are and what they look like, but some people are, maybe for health reasons, they want to do better for their cardio, for their health, for their
Sure.
cholesterol,
Sure.
whatever. And we
Sure.
hear this all the time. And actually, I just had the show on Friday with Dr. Heim. We talk psychiatry level about the resolution and how that plays. Well, guess what? A lot of people make that resolution today to change and shift. And typically, even the gyms, I can tell you from a gym's perspective, this is the time where they get a lot of membership. And then that membership kind of comes in, especially I'm talking of the Bucks gyms. They get like hundreds of people to sign up. And then a month, 2 months later, that number kind of drops down, and then the people don't show up anymore. They still pay, but they don't show up. But the idea is it's we all kind of like get reset on and it's just a day. Like, the joke is that every day is a new day. Every day is a new year. We can make that shift every day. It doesn't have to be January 1st of every year. But today is a good day to start, and therefore we do. But that's the thing. We make the changes. We make the decisions, and they are basically conscious decisions. These are like, decisions that you have to make with calculated stuff and calculated risk too, because things are going to happen. You have to figure out the monies. For example, you want to start a business. How much do I need to start? I mean, so I see some TikToks, for example, some posts that say you can start an Amazon business for $25 or $29. Actually, you could open a store, start a profile on Amazon.
You could
Does that
open
mean
a store. What are you going to
exactly
sell?
exactly? Now you have to figure out the rest. But that it's start with the step. Now you have a store in front of you. You can see that you have an account. What do I can do with it? Now you're going to learn how to operate Amazon, whatever. But that's just an example. But that can be so many other examples. You want to start a new job. Have you applied for other jobs? Have you taken the steps? Maybe you need a skill. Did you take the skill? Whatever it takes, you start working on like what will it take for me to do that, this, the next and stuff, and how long will it take? And you make it work.
I think people are believing there's a magic bullet. And I'm here to tell you there is no magic bullet. It can get easier as you get more comfortable being uncomfortable. But it's not like I'm going to snap my fingers, a cannon's going to go off, and bam. No, it doesn't work that way. That's why people don't lose weight, because they're like, well, I just did. What'd you do? Well, I did it for a day, 2 days. Yeah, I did it, and I just said I'm going to forget about even checking the scale. Forget about it. Check it a year or two, whatever. And 6 months later, I check the scale. I'm like, wow, what's wrong with my scale?
Well, John, funny you said that there's no magic bullet, but even if there was, somebody's got a trigger. You got to pull the trigger. So you need to take the action for that magic bullet to happen. Again, you are in charge, and I think today, if there is a message that we'd like to drive home, is that we can make the difference for ourselves and for people around us and for the world, for that matter. We can make the change one step at a time, one action at a time. But it starts with you focusing, making the commitment, changing the mindset, and starting to plan those things and taking that first step. You can't start a marathon. You can't actually do a marathon if you don't start that first step. You got to get off the start line.
Yeah, exactly. There was a great thing. I don't know if you guys watch hockey, but I want to share this with you. Herb Brooks. Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight, boys. That's what you've earned here tonight. One game. If we played them 10 times, they might win 9. But not this game. Not tonight. Tonight, we skate with them. Tonight, we stay with them. And we shut them down because we can. Tonight, we are the greatest hockey team in the world. You were born to be hockey players. Every one of you. And you were meant to be here tonight. This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about what a great hockey team the Soviets have. Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it. An amazing speech by Herb Brooks, Coach Herb Brooks, in 1980s game between the Soviets. But the reason I bring this up is that in order to have a great moment, you need to embrace a great opportunity. But I only want to embrace opportunities that are great. Well, this isn't a candy store. So, you need to go after opportunities that seem great and just keep going through them, and you will get moments to celebrate. Another thing that I tell people to do is to take a jar, take a glass, take a box, take a plastic, whatever the heck you want. And every time this year that you have a great moment, write it down, put it in the jar. At the end of the year, on January 1st, 2024, open that jar and read your mental diet. And you'll see how that'll propel you forward. See, everyone wants the great moment, but they don't realize that they first have to embrace opportunities. And not every opportunity is going to be great.
Well, that's an excellent point, because we don't know what opportunities are going to look like and which ones are better than others, right? But they're opportunities.
Absolutely.
And unless you discovered them and entertained them, you're just, you already eliminated the opportunity. Like, you almost like you have a 50% shot, but you took zero shot at it. So therefore, there's nothing. You got to be in it to win it, as we say, right? But you don't want to judge. Yeah, well, everything else, right? You don't want to judge it, just, I don't see the opportunity. Well, you don't know. Get into it, mix it up, see what's going on. What's the worst case? It's not good. You might learn something out of it, move on to the next, and so on and so forth. And that's the difference. Most people are like, I want it to be certain I'm going to do this. No one does. You start and then you play. You figure it out as you go. Obviously, you got to do your due diligence, whatever it takes. But it doesn't matter. Sometimes you start a business, doesn't work. You're a serial entrepreneur. You've done a lot of things. You still do a lot of things. And not everybody works the same way. You test things, you work things, you move things, you tweak things, and you happen. I'm involved in so many things, and I still work, and I still do stuff, and I still have a live, and I like to do all kind of stuff. And, some are working, some are not working, some I'm working on, but it doesn't matter.
Sure.
To me, they're all happening, and they're all opportunities, and you keep working each one until, and hopefully they all, become successes. But maybe not. I've had, ideas that I put in place before some of the giants actually took them. And you know what? I didn't apply well to them, and some people succeed and I didn't. And I'm okay with it, because I know I did, but I know also my mistake. I did not pursue them the way I should have. And maybe that's my mistake. But at the end of the day,
you didn't realize that there could have been a gold lining there. You didn't see the fact that person, we always say, don't judge the book by its cover. Or don't judge the client just because he's wearing jeans doesn't mean that he's not worth $1 million. You didn't look at that potential.
Yeah, well, I can give an example. I had a company. I started a company. It was called Errands, literally like running errands, right? It's a great concept, and it was before Uber Eats, before even like DoorDash, and all the other guys.
Okay.
And the concept was the same. I had a lack of technology, and therefore I was limited, and therefore I couldn't do it because I didn't have the back end of tech. But then everything happens. And
we didn't know each other then. I could have helped you. We didn't know each other.
Well, but I'm telling you, the concept was awesome, and had I taken, this was like 7 years ago.
I know you didn't.
This could have, I know, but this could have had, tremendous. We could have been, sitting on a nice plot, but it doesn't matter. It's not, I still have the concept. I still have my website. I still have the whole thing. And, it's still different from the other concept. And if I ignite it again, it's back burner. It's not a lost idea. I actually started, I conceived a concept, which is, it's literally an invention that I pursued and everything. I have it, and it's available. It's patented. I didn't say, well, I got to make money of it. I have a patent for 20 years, and it is a unique concept. And you know what? I'm still pursuing it, but it's still my back burner. I touch it every now and then.
Just realize you only have so much time, or you got to refile again. You only get so much time on that.
Correct. But what I'm saying, the idea is that it's stuff that you work on, but you never give up on it. You still work on it, and you maintain. You have things that are in place, and you got to keep them. You work here, work there, and maybe one is going to support the other. Whatever it takes, you find different ways. But that's the bottom line. You don't give up on your dreams. You don't give up on ideas. You work the ideas.
Everything has a like I see a puzzle, a piece to a puzzle. It may not necessarily look like it fits today, but it might be part of a bigger puzzle later on.
Correct. Well, what you mentioned the hockey, right? We don't have to go far. We just discussed, again on Friday about the World Cup, right? Recent World Cup, and one of the examples was the Moroccan team, and I speak to it because I happen to be of Moroccan descent, you know, and I was proud of the accomplishment. But what you said is the same thing. This is a team nobody even saw coming, and they did their best. They went for the opportunity. They made a big difference for themselves, for a lot of nations out there, and they give hope to a lot of people. You never know what will be that moment where you make a change, you make history. But if you're sleeping, or if you're not willing to take that challenge, the odds of it happening is not going to happen, right? But if you're in it, to win it, things you have a better shot than somebody who's not, right? Bottom line. So
It's like the example we've used in the very beginning show we had. I said to you, I asked you what color car you drove, and you tell me what color
oh
car you
yes,
drive, and I said to you, well, there are a lot of cars like make us like, yeah, no, so all I see is those cars. I'm like, oh, all I see is white cars. What color my car is white. So it's what our RAS is focusing on. So when we change our focus and we change what we're looking at, we're going to start to attract. Now, something else I want to share with you for New Year's. There's two ways to get to a goal. One is propulsion, and one is attraction. Okay.
Love it.
At the beta level, not to get too deep here, that's what you and I are at, the beta level. We're using propulsion to get to our desires, our dreams. That's kind of how it works. At alpha, we are using attraction. So, to give you an example, if you're at alpha and you're programming and you want to bring something in your life by manifestation, and you not visualize it, you imagine it, then you're going to start to see things in your life are going to conform to that. Your words and things of that nature. But I wanted to share a quick story for people that think this is nonsense. I knew somebody who did some work for the homeless, national homeless. And these people were on the streets for many, many years. And the lady was doing this class. And lady was there. And one gentleman comes and he says, I don't think you're going to have any more people to your class this morning. And she says, oh, well, you see, it turns out last night was a very cold night. And unfortunately, on the big, great building on Windsor Street, they lost the power and electric. And one of our guys that always sleeps there froze to death during the night, and he wasn't able to get up in the morning. And what she was sharing with them, that these people that had nothing turned their lives around in just a few months. There was a lady there that literally was a nurse at a hospital, and she was craving the drugs and stuff like that. Well, she got fired, came into the program, and now she's doing very well as an insurance salesperson. So my point is that it doesn't matter what level of the economic or socio class you are at. This stuff works for everybody, but you have to believe it. It's not going to happen in 24 hours. It will gradually attract. Similar to a relationship, attracting together, right? We don't want to force a relationship. We want to attract it so it comes together naturally, right? And it stays together. We all know that a relationship starts, if it's a non-platonic relationship, it starts from the attraction, could be perfumes. Well, that is the false part of the relationship. And that causes us to get to a certain point. But then if there isn't anything viable, then that stuff just wears off. That stuff's just like pointless. So if we focus on getting what we want in our life by attraction and not propulsion, then things are going to chase us. When we start to attract money into our life instead of chase after money, you're going to see that money is going to chase after you, or your dreams are going to chase after you instead of you trying to chase your dreams. You're going to be going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and your dreams will still catch you if you attract them.
But John, I love what you're talking about here. But and just to kind of almost highlight this, the idea is that you work, you got to build the base. Talking about proportion, you got to get there, got to get in front of people, right? You got to do your part,
Yes,
and
yes,
then
yes, yes, yes.
give enough, so people can start seeing that value, and then they'll come to you. But if you're not in their face, you're not even being available, there's nothing. You can have all you want, you're not even in the scene. You got to be on the stage and do your performance. A lot of stars and success stories, they had to
Mhm.
be in front of people before they actually were, even taken for who they were,
Right,
and eventually
right.
discovered, and eventually made it to whatever level they are today. But had they not taken those steps and worked in the beginning, it's got to be work in the beginning. It's not going to be handed to us. Maybe a small handful of people get that, but the average person does not get things given to them. Just here, have fun. Maybe, and it depends how they do with it. They may even lose it all. But the bottom line is, you got to the propulsion piece is a key. You got to catapult yourself right into the world, right? People have to see you, they have to
Absolutely.
know about you. Then if you make enough impact, guess what? People are going to be coming and wanting more of you, and that's the challenge that most of us you have to meet that demand. You got to be somewhere to meet that demand. You got to create that opportunity. You got to create that want, for people to really want to have something to do with you, and that's it. So
Mhm.
and don't doubt yourself. Believe in yourself.
Belief, 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 belief.
uh, Always the hack.
BelieveMeAchieve.com. It's my
There you
hat.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
It starts with belief. If you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to believe in you, right? I mean, people may believe in you, but no one's going to believe more than you. And
And if
maybe
somebody
people are,
believes in you and you don't believe in yourself,
it's worse.
well, you're still not going anywhere.
Exactly. I mean, they can do. We can give all the advice that we can, right? But if you don't take that next step, if you don't take the charge, if you don't take the action, that's on anyone watching and listening. It's always on us to make that move. And yes, sometimes stuff like the discussions like this, shows like this, or I mean, there's plenty of them out there. There's a lot of motivation, inspiration everywhere. If you look for it, right? If you're willing
Mhm.
to look and take that, it's basically, this is just, think about a broadcast that is just going out there in the air, and whoever actually is going to receive this in their dish is going to be able to utilize it correctly. But you got to open up, tune in to
You
it
got to
and
be
get.
tuned to that channel. A wise person once told me, John, everything that you want in this universe already exists. You just need to tune into that frequency to attract it to you.
And believe it or not, guys, here's another thing that I personally, and I think John and we shared this, without even having rehearsed it, is that I say these things not just because I want to share with you. I use them for me. When I say it, it actually motivates me. It keeps me in motion. It keeps me going. And I think John is the same. We say these things, we believe in them, and it's actually for our first sanity first, and then obviously we share with the world because we think it has merit to actually make a difference in somebody's life. And that's all there is. We might get zero, outcome of this for other people, but you know what? We don't believe in that, right? We believe that someone somewhere at a certain point is going to get one of these pieces, nuggets, as Jen will say, and they will actually explore them, and it can make a difference in their life. I know I've done that before in my life where I've seen those results, and I know John did the same. And you
Yep.
know what? We're not giving up on this. And again, if a show like this is out there, once it's on the internet, it's cyber. It's all over the world. That somebody somewhere, maybe 10 years from now, who knows? You don't know when you plant the seed when that seed is
Well,
going to give
hopefully before
fruits.
10 years, but because we'll be in the,
I,
we'll be at the shopping centers by then.
I am confident that someone in very immediate future is going to take benefit of this discussion. But the idea is that we don't know who that person is, and frankly, we just want people to succeed, and we want people to actually do whatever is best for themselves and be better. And that's the other thing. Like, there are givers and takers. I'd rather be a giver, and I want to be a giver because you know what? I've been given things, and I want to give back some things. John, the same thing. You've been given a lot of things, and when I say given, you were not handed things. You work towards things, but you've given a set of circumstances, and you flourished those things, and you really matured them and made them work. And now
Mhm.
you have the ability to share that. You exchange that. You take, you give, you live a legacy. This is what it is about. And today is a new year, a new beginning, a new chapter, and we just write in a new page. And we have the ability to put whatever. We are the ones who are screenwriting and you screenwrite things. You can switch. I mean, you can just write down that line or, take it off, erase it, replace it. You have the ability. No one has control but you. And, I mean, we can talk political, we can talk religious, we can talk other things. And there are powers in this world that can control some of the things, but we're not there. You don't have to think that big. You just have to think where you are. And within your realm, you can still do. And you will be able to succeed. And that's the bottom line. If you have the belief, you will achieve. And I love that. I think I'm going to use that all the time.
I have two. It's great. It's a great topic. I have two more things to tell you. That first thing, two quick things. One is, when you're saying all the things, which makes a lot of sense, I say three words to you. No one has the right to make you feel inferior about yourself except for one person, you. And the last little nugget I'd like to leave you guys with, is we're almost out of time, I know, and that is choices. So in 2023, it's about choices, whether it's eating choices, health choices, relationship choices, choices to help a friend out, not help a friend out, say yes, say no sometimes, Mm-hmm. So when I talk about choices, and this probably relates to a lot of people with health, the choices I want to talk to you about is the worst choices you can have for breakfast. So the worst choices, first of all, are breakfast cereals. While those sugary cereals are very bad for you, pancakes and waffles, toast with margarine, muffins, fruit juice, toasted pastries, scones with jam and cream, sweetened fat, non-fat yogurt, granola bars, processed gluten-free breakfast foods. And what I want to share with you, one of the real worst ones, is munchkins. Oh my gosh. Do you know how many calories are in one munchkin? Don't have a heart attack on me.
200 calories from munchkin? I don't know. Am I close?
Oh, not that bad. In one munchkin, there are, depending on the type of munchkin, there are 60 to 90 calories in an average munchkin.
That's a one bite. So you
that's a lot of calories. And so just to give you an example, the powdered are 60, old fashioned are 60, the jellies are 70, the glazed are 70, the glazed old fashions are 70, the plain glazed are 70, cinnamon are 60, and the butternuts are 90. Now, let's say you're going to go for that traditional jelly. All right, fine. 35 of those calories are from fat. Okay. Total fat is 4 grams. Saturated fat is 2 grams. Trans fat is 0. Big deal. Cholesterol, 5 milligrams. Sodium is 80 milligrams. That is terrible. And just to read through some of those cereal things, I mean, a lot of people I think the kids like to give, what is it called? Cocoa Puffs or something. Cocoa Puffs cereal.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff is bad for you. Everybody thinks it's so good for you. It's 103 calories for a 0.75 of a cup.
Well, that's the calories. What about the nutrition, levels? What's in
that's
it?
what I was going to tell you. You don't want to get scared here.
It's okay.
11.8 ounces naturally flavored frosted corn puffs in 3/4 of a cup, which is their thing. 100 calories, 0 grams saturated fat, 100 milligrams sodium, and 9 grams of sugar. There's no protein in there.
Sugar addiction is a killer, and then there's a lot of that out there. And between sugar and sodium and everything else that we don't need, we take a lot of it, unfortunately. And if we don't watch what we have, and especially for our younger audiences, we don't tend to feel that. I mean, I have my kids too. It's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I limit some stuff in my house because I don't want them to be exposed to it. And it doesn't matter. They go to school. They have some different nutrition levels.
They have it anyway.
Exactly. So it's a very tough one.
Many of us grew up. You remember the cereal? Do you remember Apple Jacks? Remember Apple Jacks is supposed to be like the greatest cereal for you? Well, they found out that Apple Jacks was not so great, and even Raisin Bran is not even that healthy for you.
Other than the raisins, I'm just kidding. Well, raisins have benefits.
190 calories in 1 cup, 1 gram of fat, 200 milligrams of sodium, 47 grams carbs, 7 grams of fiber. Big deal. 17 grams of sugar, and 5 grams of protein. So people think just because it has some protein, it must be good. It's not.
Well, even proteins, there's the good proteins, bad proteins, and depends what kind
The
of
one
protein
that's
and how much.
really getting the real kick that's really bad for you has to be the Reese's cereal. I wouldn't even eat anything like this garbage. 3/4 cup serving, 120 calories, 3 grams of fat, a half a gram of saturated fat, 160 milligrams of sodium, 22-gram carbs, 1 gram of fiber. Wow. 9 grams of sugar and 2 grams of protein.
John, here's a very thing. I mean, I love what you do in there, and folks, we're just sharing with you some of the stuff that we are experiencing. At least we're reading about and we're aware of. At the end of the day, it is your choice to make those due diligence processes and make those decisions. But just be aware, that it's your health, it's your children's health, and you know what? We're not against the industries, whatever, but they're doing their stuff. You got to do your stuff,
They're
and it's a
doing their
win-win.
stuff. The thing that you have to realize with this is we've all had Eggos before, nothing against Eggo, but I don't want to have a portion size. If a portion size of Eggos is 2 Eggos, you know what my portion is? 1 Eggo.
Let go my
French
ego.
sticks are not supposed to be good for you. You know what I have instead of having the portion of 6? I have 2. And it's 120 calories. So you can make choices in your life, choices in your relationships, choices in what you do in your life, choices in things that motivate you. Now, what is motivation? Motivation is a very funny word that just basically means what's going to get you to take action consistently to get towards your goals, to achieve that. Motivation is not this button you press and you magically get there because you just pressed it. No, it's not a shortcut. Motivation is a word to psychologically explain to people how you get somewhere or don't get somewhere. And you can get somewhere by negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement. I'm not much for negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is when you do something that's wrong, well, there's a punishment for it. If you do something that's good, there's a positive reinforcement. Like, for example, the dog does something well, you give the dog a doggy treat, and the dog does it again. So positive reinforcement actually causes more dopamine to release in the body and the brain. And so we get that feeling. We only do things for 2 reasons in our world: to avoid pain and gain pleasure. That's why our hospitals are so busy. Why don't we do more things to gain pleasure? But society's not set up like that. They weren't taught like that. They weren't wired like that. And so if we start saying, gee, I'd like to do this, well, what can I do to get pleasure? What if I did this to get me pleasure? So if let's say you were in sales and you made X phone calls. Well, to make X phone calls, I'm going to have pleasure from that, not the pain. So I think when somebody looks at the pain, but I have to do this because I have to make my car better. I have to do that. So you're looking at the negative stuff, right? If we focus on the positive, well, by doing this, I get freedom. By doing this, I get to set my own schedule. By doing this, I get to meet great people. So I think it's just how you spin things, right? How you choose to spin that dime or how you choose to spin whatever it is you're working on. You can look at that coin 2 different ways. Mm-hmm. And there's always a silver lining. So making choices in 2023 is something you should be doing yourself, not someone else telling you how to do. And when you start to embrace the fact that and own your power, that you can make choices, that's when magic starts to happen. That's when manifestation starts to hit the pavement. But it's not going to happen by just closing your eyes and saying, oh, gee, I want to make $1 million. Oh, I made $1 million. No, it doesn't work like that. What the imagery does is it gets your body to basically program and your reticular acting system. So the subconscious runs 97.5%. I was on with a national psychologist the other day. I was on his show. And I said to him, it was 97.5. He said, yeah, that's what I said. He said it was 97.6. I said, 97.5 is close enough. But he says, yeah, the subconscious runs our body. So if we own our power, if we realize that this is by doing these, I'll call it programming, by doing this visualization, we're going to just get that tuner in the back of our head, kind of like a good station. We're going to get it tuned so that it comes in crystal clear. And now whenever things come in that are on that frequency, that resonate with that, oh, wow, I should check that out. Oh, I should check that out. Oh, wow. And so even though you're still making a choice, it becomes easier because you've primed the pump, right? If you're trying to pump water from one place to another and the pump isn't primed, well, it's a lot harder until you actually prime the pump because you have to prime it first. And so, but if you put water in first and then turn it on, pump works so easily. Just like with gears, if we oil the gears properly, the gears ebb and flow, they go back and forth. So by putting the imagery in our head and getting this in our mind, our body, we start to get the wheels oiled. We start to get the pump primed. And once it's primed and once the wheels are going, they keep going, or get the fire started. See, people have a problem getting the fire started when the fire is out. When the fire is like low, we can always throw another log on. But it's very hard for people to start over. And that's why New Year's time is a very critical time. And I encourage everyone, if you haven't taken the moment to write out at least 300 or 400 goals, you say, John, I can't write that many. I get it. I want you to do that because I want you to prove how much worth that you are. And you will only get paid what you believe you're worth. So if you believe you're only worth, just going to use 10 cents an hour, you only get 10 cents an hour when you're worth $1 or 100. You have to believe not only in who you are, but you have to believe in your worth. And when you do that, you start to get other people that are on that frequency. I've said to you about the phrase goodbye. Somebody starts abusing you and say, oh, gee, I can't pay that. I understand how you feel. I guess we have to say goodbye. Whoa. See, you have to be stern on that. Not nasty, but sort of like, well, goodbye. I guess I need to get going then. Oh, what do you mean? So, but you wouldn't do that if your worth didn't believe you were for that.
John, I think we're about the hour here, but I think that is some powerful, piece to leave folks with. I mean, you can't sell yourself short. You have to know your merits. You have to know your price and your value, and no one can take that away from you. And you determine that. That's your price tag. If there's a such thing. But the fact is, you know what you're worth, and you should know that you're worth a lot more than what people actually would think. Everybody is worth a lot more than people would think about them. And so that's the first thing you have to realize, that no matter what people have a perception of you, know that you're much better, much more. And that's something that you have to set yourself up. You put yourself at the highest standard, and regardless of what people think, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is how you are, how you feel. And then of course you have to meet some of that stuff, and don't propose yourself to be more than what you are. That's the other part. You have to know your level and be humble, and you can always upgrade yourself by learning more and being more. But the bottom line is, from any point of view you start, you have to know what you're worth. So that's the bottom line. And I love what you said, John, about that. So thank you for bringing that up.
My pleasure.
And sometimes you got to say no. I mean, I don't see that. You don't see me for who I am. That's okay. Somebody else will see my value. And that's what happened. I mean, you and I, we shared the Disney, thing, and I can tell Disney was terminated or fired because he lacked imagination, apparently, right? Go figure. But that's the idea. He knew what he was worth. It didn't bother him. He did more, and many other examples out there. So we can always rest assured that we will meet some people's expectations, and we may not meet some others.
And some you won't. But tell people how you want to play the game. I tell this right up front, regardless of it's business, personal. And if people don't want to play the way you've created the rules, goodbye.
That's it.
You need to set a standard and raise that bar. People may accuse you. People may criticize you. People might say you're judging them. Goodbye.
You're in charge. That's the bottom line. It's your life. No one else's life. This is my life. John happens to be in my screenplay right now. I'm in his screenplay, right? And we just happen to mesh up nicely. But that's what it is. We kind of agreed that this is a good mesh, and we work in it, right?
Absolutely.
But that's how it is. But everyone in our world is the same, and everyone in your world is the same. And that's how you can bring people in, you can remove people from, you don't have to subject yourself to anything. If you don't like what you hear, move on. Life goes on. You were there without them, and you can be there without them. It would be nice to have the right people around you, and that's really something you choose too. So again, you're in charge. If anything from this new year, make those changes that will make you the best that you can be and beyond, and keep going at it. That's all that matters.
Absolutely. Make those choices, set those boundaries, and be passionate about what you want and imagine your future.
All right. Well, John, I think we have to wrap it up. Until the next one.
All right. Well, it has been great being with you. Again, a very happy, a healthy, abundant, amazing 2023 to all of you out there. And if you haven't taken the time to write those desires down, because remember, those desires don't become goals until you put them on a deadline. So start now and put them down on paper or in your laptop. And we'll see you guys another show soon.
Yeah, John. One thing before we leave.
Sure.
I know you started being on the radio show.
Yes.
So can you share that with our audiences where they can listen to your shows? Nationally?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll give you that. I'm actually going to have it on. I'm going to have it on Believe Me Achieve later on today. But I'm on Chicago's morning radio. I will include a link on that on Believe Me Achieve. It'll probably be up there later today. And I'm on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6:30 to 7 Eastern. And I'm on Tuesday and Thursday, 4:30 to 5:30. And it's called Inspirations for Your Life, Drive Time Radio Show. And we just have a blast. And we're not taking live callers yet, but we are working on that. We're probably going to be taking some guests as records, but we are working on some live callers. The challenge is at that hour in the morning, not everybody wants to call in at 6:30 in the morning. And Chicago time, it's 5:30 in the morning.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the good news that we will start taking live calls in this show going forward. So stay tuned for that one. And it will be on the ticker, and you'll see actually the number that you can dial in while we are on this live one. Again, our routine time is usually at 7 p.m. and we'll stay tuned with that. So today was an adjusted, schedule, but stay tuned for more. Catch up with John on his shows and on his programming, and his channels is all over the map. And you know where to find me with my other shows and where to find Together. We are evergreen in all the podcast platforms, on the radio, our iHeartRadio, as well as the channel, the Facebook, you name it, we're out there. So let's just keep the love and keep sharing the value and just keep people motivated, folks.
Thanks so much, everyone. Check us out. BelieveMeAchieve.com. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.